Hey guys, so I've been meaning to do this for absolutely ages, and there's always just been problems or something's been in the way. But after doing what do you even call it? Daggerheart? It was
Daggerheart.
Yeah.
Dagger Shart.
Well, yeah. You know what? It's not even a game, and I've seen a few people be like, I've seen a few people be like,
not even a game.
Oh well, you weren't gonna like it anyway. It's like, well, I was gonna try to like it. Okay,
We always go in with an open mind. Reviews.
I want to go in with an open mind. So look, Dice and Demons. This is the quick start goals. It's not the entire game, and we give a quick rundown here of what to expect in the rest of it. The reason being, this is just for like. It's to give you a solid taste or a good understanding. The other thing is, should this system even exist? Probably not. However, I'm going to do it anyway. The reason why I'm going to do it anyway is two reasons. First, I want to do it under Creative Commons, so anyone can go ahead, take these rules and use them as they wish. Kind of a bit of a response to the old OGL thing. If you want to use them, you can go ahead and use them. No issue. That's pretty much what I want to do. And the other thing is, I don't want to write adventures for other systems because I don't know what the companies behind them systems are going to be like. For instance, I quite like Dungeon Crawl Classic. Don't really, not a big fan of Jackson games though. Also, same thing with OSC. Not the biggest fan of the people behind them. So you know what? If I'm gonna mess it up, I may as well be. It has to be myself that messes it up. You know what I mean? But I really just want to make adventures and supplements and that sort of stuff. So more to come. More races, more classes, more character customization, more like skills of magic, more monsters, a lot more weapons. By the way, that's something that we spent a lot of time on. Rules for backgrounds, rules for incompetence and gear, rules for travel, more rule options and landing tables, land, sea, and vehicle travel. So like tanks, ships, all that sort of stuff. You know, you guys will find out, but they're very similar to Death March, more or less. For instance, like aircraft is going to be done on like a hex grid, and same with ships, like for sea travel, that's going to be hex. However, land travel isn't a hex, it's done by degrees of turn, but I don't really want to get into that because that's not in this. Okay, and then step-by-step world building guide. Everything in this highlighted in yellow is a placeholder, or we will change it. It's something that hasn't been fully 100% decided on, and there's only a few of them in here. Oh yeah, Garb blew his nose and half his brains came out there.
Fucking spattered my goddamn screen. There it is.
There we go. And of course, something that'll cause a ton of lane is Rule 0. Put it like this, I don't even play this myself. Like, see, whenever I'm task playing, I don't even do like rules as written. So like, honestly, I just don't. Look, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't.
It's just there for the liberals.
Well, you know, the thing is, it's like for instance, like I didn't put in rules about surprise guides because I just expect people to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, to some degree, you could call this a this isn't like your first book. Your first book should be like some like little hand-holdy game.
Yeah.
Shit to you.
Yeah, this is more. Even then, there's nothing that complex, and it's just pretty much how I like to do things. Essentially, it's a mishmash of rules of sorts that I just like. You know what I mean?
It just works, okay?
Yeah,
it just works.
And this is more or less what I play. So that's the basic idea. Again, this is still in beta. This is 1.1 edition, so it is. So if you downloaded it before and it was the first edition, there has been some changes. Although I don't think there's overly too much, but yeah, that's what to expect coming in the future. It comes to 61 pages in total, so it does. Hold on, why is this not
only 61 pages?
Yeah, well, that's
what,
quick start.
No full page lore dumps?
No,
like a whole page where it talks down about being inclusive.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to avoid that as much as I can, and I've tried to make it as like quick, like that there needs to be fixed. What the fuck's that about? Basic formatting, am I right, guys?
Small family company.
So pretty much everything works around the these here like modifiers, but you'll find out like so core mechanics. The core mechanics in this system is D20. You'll be asked to roll a D20 plus or minus modifiers depending on the roll. The goal is to roll high and beat the DR, the difficulty rating, and there you go.
Man,
you can essentially.
That seems so inspired by somebody.
Well, Garbro, I actually didn't get it from you. It's actually, I'm not even joking. I got it from Workworks. Suck my dick.
Yeah.
But again, DR is nothing new or unusual. It's something. Look, just go high, and there you go.
It's an alternative AC.
Yeah. Well, 𝕯𝖊𝖒𝖔𝖓𝖘 is. The thing is, as well, like you just pull, like a DM's job is to just pull numbers out of their ass. It's like, how difficult is it? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it whatever? You know what I mean? And just work from there. And basically in advanced rules, we do have some of that sort of stuff, but again, not really. Like, you know, I was messing about with blood, for instance. Like, I've got some, like, a more simplified version of doing, like, bleeding effect, and a more complex version of doing bleeding effect. But, like, you know, like, we'll just get there. We'll just get there. So, the basics, wisdom and intelligence. I've combined them both together. I don't care. I just don't care.
But James, they're both different. They don't mean the same thing.
Too bad. I've lumped them together. Ego, charisma, and we've kind of, like, you know, you guys will find out. Like, you know, we do.
I do prefer ego over charisma as a name, though. Ego would be a fucking banger.
Yeah, and then agility. Again, we've just it's agility, but just for people.
Why is there luck there?
Because luck matters.
Son of a bitch.
Because I do believe some people are just born lucky. I do believe luck is a weird interchangeable thing with just people. And Garbro, let's not try and get ourselves. You're not a lucky guy. let's not try and get ourselves. You're just yeah. Do you think I'm wrong though? Have you met people and you're like, how the fuck are you? How do you get away with this sort of stuff? And I just don't. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure everyone's came across that.
Yeah.
I don't need to explain strength. I don't need to explain a lot of this sort of stuff. But we will explain what luck is. So luck is a measure of how well a PC can control their fate and represent how likely something random but beneficial may happen to them. Luck is different from the other stats since the skill that uses luck are things that are purely chance-based. Instead, each PC has a pool of luck points. Think of it kind of like hit points almost. Luck can be used to empower your PC's ability. So the thing is, this system is deadly. You will die very, very quickly. And luck is a way of mitigating that to a certain extent. So, for instance, you can use one luck point, got lucky. Before or after you roll any attack or skill test, you may spend one luck and pretty much give yourself a plus d6. You know what I mean? So you give yourself. Anyone can do that. You know what I mean? Does that make any weird sense? So you can spend 2 luck points, alter fate, which with GM approval. By the way, you can't just like pull this shit out of your bag. This is
what? It's not a player move.
No. All stuff to do with luck, I think, completely depends on the DM. So it's all DM fiat personally. And again, that's not going to be for everyone. Everyone's going to be like, no, James, it has to be fully solid. I need to have concrete. It's like, well, it's up to the DM on how they want to run it per se. You know what I mean? You can make a successful coincidence happen or alter a situation in a feasible, reasonable way. So, for instance, I kind of got something like this from Star Wars Fantasy Flight, where
the fate system.
Yeah. So say like once per session or whatever.
Or sorry, the force system.
Yeah. So say, for instance, you just needed that one lucky thing to happen. Like, say you're outnumbered or whatever, and you know you're probably going to die. Oh, all the enemies happen to be all stand beside a big lead barrel. Do you know what I mean? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, or the players have to make a getaway. Well, thankfully, like, you know, they're not our horses, but there's some horses saddled up, ready to go right outside. Excellent. We just happened, or like, you know, maybe oh don't worry about that, I lag up the getaway car, we're sorted. Does that make any sense? It's mix between narrative to and again, it's completely up to the DM. And then number 3, you can spend 3. Essentially, it gives you a death save, whereas normally you don't get death saves in this, but it gives you a death saving throw. But even then, it's still like I think it's a endurance DR16 to not die. So, like, you know, that's a thing. But like, you know, pretty much I've had one player die per session test playing this because it is a deadly
session.
Yeah, well, it's a deadly. So look, I'm giving people a lifeline, okay? Don't shout at me because you've got a lifeline. It's up to players to remember to use these lifelines, okay? Let's move across. Is this character suitable? Again, this is all like dice rolling, so it is. If the total of the character's ability modifiers are all negative, then you can roll up a new character. Using different stats for tests. This is something that I feel like a lot of people need to fucking do, and this should just be standard. So, for instance, say you've got a high strength score, you can use strength for intimidation, where normally it should be like charisma or crafting. Wisdom is usually representing a PC's knowledge or training, but honestly, a lot of time you need agility. You know what I mean? It's hand craftsmanship and stuff like that. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It's like, oh, I know exactly how to do that. If you don't know how to craft something, you don't know how to craft something. If you can't use your hands, you can't use your hands. Simple as. Does that make any weird sense? So it gives more flexibility within the abilities. Does that make sense? Like, you know, going in that 1 or a 20, natural ones and natural 20s occur when a 1 or a 20 is rolled. I probably shouldn't have worded that too much. Whenever a PC rolls a 20, if the roll was an attack roll, they get a critical hit. For a 20 on a skill test, the best result can occur, and typically the roll is an utter success. In either case, the PC regenerates 1 luck point. So there you go, something added on to that, so that's how you can regenerate them. And this is just for the DMs, so does something sound very easy, normal, difficult, really hard, extremely hard, should not be possible, you know?
Oh, so you're capping at 25 then?
Yeah, I've got it at... So you can have a maximum negative modifier of a -3, and your maximum plus is a 5, unless like bullshit magic items are involved, you know. So that's the thing. So that's the only way to get that would be with a nat 20 with modifiers. Does that make sense? Like, you know, you can't just get like the should not be possible. Oh, nat 20, you got it anyway. It's like, yeah, but you don't have a +5 to that skill, so you weren't.
So fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
Well, a lot of folks get caught in the trap of, well, nat 20 means I win every time, and it shouldn't be that way in general. It should be a nat 20 is great. What else do you have on you?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, like,
you roll maximum, but you hope you have the right attributes or right skills to pump up those fucking numbers, or you're gonna fail anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. I like it. I enjoy it. I think it works. So it does. Variable. Oh, let me see. Why do I have to use the thingies? This is annoying. Variable difficulties. Again, you know, like, I don't really want to go too much into that. That's pretty basic, so it is. GM decides how difficult an action is to be performed. It's all up to the DM. How difficult should it be? Like, and again, I wrap this into combat as well. So, for instance, there is no set number for a PC to, like, so say 𝕯𝖊𝖒𝖔𝖓 the Barbarian has got his axe and he's coming up to clobber the goblin over the head. Well, what's the situation? Has a goblin? Are you coming up behind them? Has a goblin even seen it? Have they even seen you? Well, then I don't think you should roll for that. I think you should just hit regardless. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, you know, maybe if you're coming up a goblin, are they quick enough? Depending on all that sort of stuff. Maybe I would go normal. I would go at 12. At 12 to hit would be the default. That's what I would go for. But again, you just gotta think of what is the situation. Do you know what I mean? And this is where flanking and stuff like that really does come into play in this system. I find quite a bit because, I mean, there's no way to defend yourself when you're getting stabbed in the back. Do you know? Like, you know, to me, like, you know, most of that should be almost always criticals. Do you know? So.
Well, usually in every game, getting taken behind is going to be a critical because you have the time to let the shine out.
Yeah. Skills are not magic, all that sort of stuff. Just basic going over what most people should already know, but for whatever reason they don't. They're the only things that I feel like I put in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look, this is the basics. How to create a character step by step. It's as straightforward as you can get, and also we do have a ton, and I mean a ton, of pre-gens. We've got like 20 pre-gens, and again, because this is the quick start rules, we've got limited classes and all that sort of stuff, and limited races and everything. So, like, you know, there's 20. There's a good selection of each anyway. I must say that that AA already looks like he's got 2 mouths now. I'm only noticing that. General game rules: hit points, penetrating damage, player death. So I'll explain penetrating damage because I'm not going to bother explaining what the fuck hit points are.
What are health points, Neckbeardia or Neckbeardia? What do those do? Those represent your character's damage or its body.
Well, you can work that out yourself. So penetrating damage ignores armor. Armor in the system acts like a sponge. So, and it is a chip goal. So say for instance you've got really top tier armor on, and someone comes along and bonks you on the head with a club, and your armor absorbs it all, which that's great. However, you've still got bonked on the head. So you still take, no matter what, you always take 1 damage, even if your armor has completely absorbed all of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's still that wee
minimum
bit.
damage.
Yeah, but penetrative damage is weapons or types of attacks that ignore armor. So think of a lot of like magic attacks or like fire, for instance, that would ignore armor.
Personal attacks.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Or even like, penetrative damage, you can have like clubs and stuff, because I do have that. It's got, for instance, like flails and maces and morning stars and all that sort of stuff. They ignore a certain amount of armor, so they do. Player death, I suppose that we play shoot. No.
Well, so how do you
die? Okay, so when a PC goes to 0 hit points or below, they can either go unconscious or cheat death. Go unconscious. When a PC falls down unconscious and can't do any actions on their turn except make a DR16 endurance test or die outright. So if they go unconscious, they have to make that test, otherwise you just die, and that's it. Succeeding on the test gives you 1 hit point, and you have to spend a turn getting back up. Cheat death is just from the luck mechanic system, so it is. Now, people do spend their luck like mad, so, and also it's not guaranteed that you'll even have enough luck to be able to do this. You need to actually have like a modifier to your luck to be able to pull off cheat death. But unless an effect says you outright die or kills you outright, you can spend 3 luck points to go to 1 hit point instead of going unconscious. So essentially you just get a free DR test passed. Does that make sense? So it gives you essentially a thingy, so it does. Outright die or kills you outright. Your PC is dead when you cannot be healed back to life, or cheat death. Only resurrection can bring you back to life. Knocked out. A PC that is knocked out or KO'd cannot move or perform actions and is unaware of the world around them. A KO'd PC wakes up after 1 hour or after they take further damage. Whenever a creature is knocked out with 0 hit points, they instead go to 1 hit point and gain 1 fatigue. So pretty much standard stuff when it comes to death, although it's a wee bit harder, but a bit more lenient to a certain extent. But again, you guys will just see how deadly this is, because like you don't have much hit points and weapons do a ton of damage, so that's the thing. Advantage, disadvantage, everyone knows what that is. No point. Help action, falling and choking, fire damage. Fire is penetrative, so see whenever it says 1d4 P just means penetrative. That's what it's short for. Leveling up, there's no official leveling up system in this, and the reason being, I don't know, I just don't really like leveled systems like street progression. I don't know why. When a PC levels up, we personally favor milestone XP, for example, after a hard fight or an adventure. If you don't like milestone XP, then take a leveling system from a different system.
I mean, you like that? Fuck you, get your own thing.
Yeah, just like honestly, I like milestone. The full product will have a leveling system, but for now we're just having that in. Whenever a PC levels up, they get an extra hit point based on their class. So for like, I think a warrior, it's a D6, so you roll a D6. For like a wizard, it's a D4. Or actually, no, I think a wizard's a D10. Or I think a warrior's D10. I can't remember. We'll check it out. 2 different stats. So you can get a +1 or a +2, just depends on what it is. Gain 1 feature or roll twice on class features. We'll get to that whenever we get to the classes. Fatigue, it's just a tire system, so it is. It's pretty straightforward, but you can die of exhaustion, so that's a thing. And then Lesson and Havens. It's one of those ones, I do give quite a bit of health back, but again, it is so deadly, I don't mind that, you know? So you can rest for an hour and you get 1d2 hit points back. If you do it with food, you get a d6. 1 night's rest without food, d10, and DR12 endurance test, or you get 1 fatigue, 1 night rest with food, so and so, 1 night rest in a haven, and then requirements for a safe place. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just, I'm gonna go level up in a dungeon, and multiple friendly people to the party.
I want a long rest in this fucking goblin-filled site. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, just, it's one of those ones. I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, we should probably have that in. It's one of those ones. It would just make more sense. There's certain things we should probably have in. Bleeding, we've kind of went a bit overboard. I feel like we could compress this information a lot better, the bleeding, but have a go at this and tell me what you think of it, because you haven't seen this yet. So bleeding represents damage taken from blood loss. Many weapons and some magic can cause bleeding, usually described in the weapon or spell. If you take damage from a weapon with bleed, then make a DR12 endurance test to prevent the bleeding to take place. 1d4 penetrative damage at the start of each following turn. The bleeding person must make a DR12 endurance test or take 1d4 penetrative damage, and if natural 1 is rolled on the endurance test, then they also gain 1 fatigue as the vein or artery spurts with blood. This effect continues until you success on your endurance test, so it's going to continue and continue. Now, bleeding does get worse though. That's only the first level of bleeding, if that makes sense. So I'll just run through this. So Mori the Leaper strikes a Hellhound with their 𝕯�㈏. A 𝕯�㒏 has a bleeding 1d6 and DR14 endurance. The Hellhound needs to make a DR14 endurance test or take 1d6 penetrative damage. The Hellhound fails and takes 1d6. The damage is now bleeding. Sticky Jim stabs the Hellhound with his dagger, and the Hellhound needs to make another endurance test. This test is DR12, since it is just a basic bleed. Unlike the unlucky Hellhound, again fails, takes 1d4 extra damage, but since it's already bleeding, the dagger does not cause any extra long-term bleeding at the start, so pretty much it just stacks. Does that make any weird sense? Like, you know, it's a bit wordy. I do have an easier version of this where it's literally just take an endurance test and now you're taking 1d4 damage and that's it. But this kind of represents more severe bleeding wounds. Does that make sense? Again, it's kind of, I'm going to lump this in with basic and expert. I kind of want to have a mixture of goals. Some people aren't going to be happy with this because I feel like some people, this is going to slow down their combat by a lot, and there's a lot more to like take note of, whereas if it's just a simple, you know, roll, that's it, you know what I mean, it's a fixed amount of damage. But I kind of like the idea of, like, you know, it being able to stack up and stack up and stack up. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if you get more and more cuts, you're gonna have more and more points to bleed.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much all, like, the basic core goals, you know what I mean? We'll go into character classes and races. We got human, dwarf, elf, orc, goblin, wee folk. This is
really
just
breaking the boundaries there, Neckbeardia.
Garbu. It's the demo. It's a quick start.
I know. I gotta give you shit. You know.
And again, this, I'm not making a set. I'm not making a setting for this. This is more just a set of rules.
It's just a rulebook. Yeah.
Like, I'm not having a setting. What I really want to do is I want to be able to make settings and supplements. You know what I mean? So I want to do, like, definitely not Weeb Island. You know what I mean? I definitely totally not Japan, or totally not Scandinavia, or totally not Pirates of the Caribbean. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I want to be able to do stuff like that and go accordingly.
Get your soundboard turned on.
Yeah. Why?
Okay, so your next one is gonna be this pretty much. Your next release gonna be that big?
Yeah, maybe. You know what? Actually, I really want to do Africa. You've no idea how much I want to do African warlords. No, but the thing is, people are gonna guard and be like, James, that's racist, man. That's racist. It's like, no, man. You've never read about. You know, I actually have Joshua Brady on Facebook.
Right. It's all coming together.
Fuck's sake. You know, you can add him on Facebook though. You can actually add John Butt Naked on Facebook, and he'll add you. You know, he's very open, so he is. You know, he's a weird guy, safe to say.
You know, the general the ungeneral populace can't call everything being Africa racist. All right,
Yeah.
It's got to get a give somewhere. You can't literally like gatekeep Africa for content creators.
No, but the thing is, like, you know, I don't know, the way they go about it. No, it's like, man, just like you're allowed to do it about Japan, and no one gets uppity. But if I want to make a supplement set in Africa, then everyone's like, ooh. It's like, well, show me a good supplement set, like a good not African supplement. Then, do you know what I mean? Like, is there one? I don't think there is. Oh, if anyone knows of one.
I know there was one, but it was really, honestly, it was bad, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was not worth buying. The guy didn't put a lot of work into it. It's more or less like a fantasy history of Africa. I was like, this is boring.
Don't care. Not interested. Anyway, so I'll just give you a basic rundown. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to bother because, again, I've made them all very generic. But what I will show you is the orcs and the goblins have a certain feature. So they do. So, intimidation expert, blast neck, outcast. Orcs are known for their brutality and cruelness. Many societies do not like them and will automatically distrust orcs. You can cause unease. Oh, pardon me. So what I'm thinking about doing is adding in so think of it like maybe like on a d6. Like, you know, maybe on a 1d6 chance that people become automatically hostile to you if you're playing as like an orc or a goblin or like a tiefling or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm going to be calling them hell touched, so I am, but like, you know, it's tiefling, you know what I mean? Essentially. But yeah, so we've got outcast release, but again, that's kind of setting specific, but like, you know, we thought it would be better off putting that in because it's something that enough people fucking have issues with, you know what I mean? Like, why not just put that in there? I thought it worked a bit better, and also I quite like wee folk. I think they're funny.
Wee folk?
Wee folk.
Fucking gnomes.
Yeah, well, they are kind of more like gnomes, if I be honest with you, than halflings, but like, fuck it, doesn't really matter. Here we go. Oh, by the way, DLC content by the Goodie Box today.
By the what?
The Goodie Box. So I've only. Yeah, we're gonna. So.
Oh my god, loot boxes!
So they are going to have... So I've only got 6. There's only 6 class features at the minute. There will be 12, but we're not giving you the entire thing. But there's more than enough here. So I'll just run through the basic idea of how classes work. So, no multi-classing. Each class has their own unique features, and once a player has chosen a class, then they cannot gain benefits from another. No. But I will say...
Fuck you, no, stop.
But what I will say is, for instance... Maybe, like, you know, we are going to go, like, all the classes, we've got warrior, we got rogue, we got cleric, we got wizard, and that's it. And everything from that is going to be a subclass. So, for instance, a druid, to me, it's a subclass of cleric. Paladin is a subclass of a cleric. Does that make any weird sense? Barbarian is a subclass of a warrior. Do you know? Bard subclass of a rogue. Does that make sense? You know, I'm not going to get too much into it because it's not in here, but that's kind of the basic idea. So whenever you pick, but you have to pick a warrior first, so you can't automatically go to that. So say I'm going to be a paladin, you're going to have to start off as a cleric, and then you get to move into that. Does that make any weird sense?
You have to grow. You have to grow as a character. So, she's saying that. So
no. Although I'm tempted to make a paladin. Also, you could maybe subclass from a warrior into a paladin, maybe, but like, I'm not really feeling that, if I be honest with you, because there is some overlap, but how about no? anyway, so starting HP, 12 endurance, 12 plus endurance, and then leveling up, you get a D6 plus endurance modifier, trained in all weapons, armor trained in all armor and shield. Class benefit, martial prowess. Once per turn, you can spend 1 luck to take another action. So essentially, you can turn your luck into Lolly, or whatever the fuck you call it in 5e. Starting equipment, chainmail leather, any 2 weapons or a weapon and a shield. 1 item lead to your backstory, and 5d6 silver. So whenever you are picking a class, now you can either roll twice or you can pick one. And I kind of like that, so I do. So I want more people to be more okay with the idea of rolling. Does that make any sense? I like rolling for stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of people like, absolutely not. No way, I'm never going to do that. Oh, pardon me. But I kind of want to encourage. Well, I want to encourage that. So I'll go through some of the basic class features. So the post, once per day, when an enemy misses you, you can make 1 weapon attacks against them. This class feature can be taken up to 3 times. Blast Neck, the orcs get this for free, so that's their one of their class features. Once per day, turn a critical hit against you into a normal hit. Berserker Frenzy, while not wearing plate armor, you can go into Berserker Frenzy. While frenzying, your strength modifier and ego modifier increase by +2, but your defense DR decreases by -2, and you cannot cast spells. Backswing attack, when wielding a weapon with backswing, you can make an offhand attack, you know, so on and so forth. Cleave, weapons with cleave, you can hit everyone around you. All pretty basic stuff, you know what I mean? There's nothing overly fancy there, and they're all like, you know, I want. This is one of the other problems I've got. There's so many abilities that are so fucking wordy that they don't make sense. Like, if you came across that garbage where like it's like a wall of text to explain something very fucking big.
Reviewed it, dude. It's called Daggerheart.
No, but you know what? And that's what I really want to do. I want to try and compress it so that as little words are needed as possible. Because again, you're supposed to be playing a game while you're playing this. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be sitting like, hold on 1 second, and spend like 5 minutes having to read and go over it and be, what the fuck does that mean? I want a simple 1 sentence. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Rogue, all pretty much the same stuff. Some class features can be taken up multiple times. So Jack of all trades, you can take that class feature up to 3 times, giving you a +3 to everything. You know, pretty basic. You got light armor, class feature, doesn't really matter. You guys can check this out yourself because I've already went over warrior. They all function relatively the same. Alrighty, there's wizard. Wizard does work a bit different, and so does cleric actually, but I'll go over magic in a separate section. Let's just keep going. Combat rules. Now, this is something that I was talking about actually on Thingy the other day. So we've got the basic D20 plus agility modifier, or what happens if it was tied completely to your agility modifier? So what happens if you've got a -3 to your agility? You always have a 6. Or what happens if you got a +5? You've always got a 22. I kind of like that because I've said it so monsters always have fixed initiatives, and I want to playtest this quite a bit, so I do, to see. Oh, here, this is a combat, so it is. So it's, again, I've made like a bit of a flow chart, per se, that you guys will find out. So, enemies have fixed initiatives, check monster stat block. And again, I've tried to do a lot of stuff to try and speed up the DM. Does that make any sense? Like, I've tried to take a lot of stuff out of the DM's hands so they can focus more on actually running the game than dealing with, like, a bullshit minutia. Does that make any weird sense? Like, that's one of the big ones I've tried to really go for, and I've really tried to make combat as fast and deadly as I can. Like, I really don't want combat lasting more than like 4 lines. That should be really the max. That
4 lines.
4 lines of combat, and that should probably be it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, people are just going to start dying really fucking quickly. But you guys will find out why that's the case. So, player and enemy terms. Movement can be done at any point during the player's turn. 10 foot is used for each 5 foot of climb, swimming, all that sort of stuff. Basics of combat and using DR chart. Again, this is just really straightforward for the DM. What type of modifiers associated with it? Really basic stuff, you know, really straightforward. Physical attacks, melee, ranged weapons, magic attacks, GM rolls enemy armor, critical hit rolls. Here we go. I love this. Critical combat. So this is something that I have stolen from elsewhere. So round 1, 20s are criticals, and enemies, again, they are normal 20s or criticals. Round 2, 19 to 20s are criticals for the players. Enemies, again, still the same on the 20s. Round 3, 18 to 20. So again, every round it's getting the longer combat it goes on for, the more likely it is, the easier it gets to score criticals for both sides, but the players do have that slight advantage I will say players do die to criticals quite a bit. Like I've found pretty much every player that's got hit with a critical has died in playtesting, so that's a thing.
Bonk, just boom.
Yeah, like that. It's kind of just what happens. Okay, guys. Actions in combat. Again, this is all pretty basic stuff. I don't want to go too much into that because I don't want to bore the life out of you. Maneuvers. This is something that really doesn't need a name per se, but it's something that I would use quite a bit. So like push or pull, move a target up to 5 feet or more in a desired direction, and we've got examples for how a DM should interpret it. So a shove should be strength versus strength, distract or hide full, so it should be ego versus wisdom, or intimidation disorder versus ego. Taunt should be someone's ego up against someone's wisdom. Stunned, get creative. Shove or pruned, strength versus strength or agility. Does that make sense? You know, I think normally a lot of games I don't think put this into words, and I think I just kind of wanted to put it into words. But again, this is the stuff that I would just expect a lot of people to be doing anyway. But it just, I don't know if is this stuff even written down anywhere, Garbco? Have you seen it anywhere?
This kind of stuff right here?
Yeah, like, you know, I don't really see, I guess, I know most people play with it, but I don't know if it's rules is written a lot of times.
Well, I know with at least Pathfinder and D&D 5e that being compelled and stunned and stuff is more written as written. But like for me, I had to go in and put in push or pull because I didn't see any books that had it. You know.
Yeah.
Fooled is a bit interesting. So fooled is basically like you got finesse in a way. It's not being compelled or like entranced. It's just got you, fucker. In the chest.
Yeah. Again, like, you know, I know I kind of like this sort of stuff, and I feel like there's a lot of people that just don't do this sort of stuff ever. Like I would always like. Sometimes, like, you know,
ad-lib it.
So, like, you know, I wouldn't consider using like shite night, name calling, all that sort of stuff. I would do that quite a bit, and I would never consider that like an action. Like, you know, I think players should be able to do that on top of whatever they're doing, regardless. You know what I mean? But again, it was just nice. I think putting that into words worked for me. Casting spells, weapon types. I'm not going to bother boring the life out of you guys over weapon types. It's more just who can use what. Does that make any weird sense? Armor, I kind of go into explaining how it's a sponge, armor piercing, penetrative damage. I've kind of already talked about that sort of stuff. Dual wielding. Now, dual wielding's a wee bit different, so it is. So on offhanded weapons, pretty much, if you're using an offhanded weapon, your offhanded weapon does half damage. Alright, if it's like a melee, but if it's a ranged offhand weapon, then it's harder to hit with. Does that make any weird sense? You know, and of course there's feats and stuff to be able to get around all that sort of stuff. But yeah, pretty much cleave, backswing, bash. These are all stuff for weapons, but you guys will find out about that soon enough. Backswing rules, you can do that as cover. We'll put that in. I think you've got that as well, don't you? You should.
Cover?
Yeah. Although you don't really see it that much in fantasy systems.
Did you also did you do materials or no?
Nah.
Or just cover? Okay.
Just cover. You know, because again, like, you know, maybe in the full version, but for now it's the beta rules. I think that'll do the job. Dismemberment chart. So
you had to go for it, couldn't you? Yeah.
We have to. Now again.
So what provokes a dismemberment? Because that's all you got. You got a head auto kill there. So someone's got to proc off this.
So the critical hit charts are not in this because I want to keep them for the full book. There is a lot of stuff that we're just not putting in, but there's more than we've done enough that you're able to play the game. Does that make sense? To give people a solid taste. So when should you roll on this table? Roll on if a PC takes 10 or more damage after armor from a single massive attack or a repeated disfiguring or damage source such as fire or acid. Magical healing or first aid performed within a few minutes of the injury may reverse it. GM's judgment. A player may attempt to revive a dead PC who was not killed outright and has has only been dead for about a minute. So, like, you know, maybe you might be able to revive someone, but they come back with, like, they're missing an arm or leg. Resurrection doesn't remove dismemberment, however, legendary healing items worthy of such quests might. After losing a body part, if not cleaned and tended to properly, DR12 wisdom test, the PC starts to gain fatigue. So what actually happens? So you have to roll. So if you roll 1 on this, it's a head, you're decapitated, you're just fucking dead. You're just dead. On a 2, left eye, -2 to hit rolls. So eyes are -2 to hit rolls. A leg, you get -1d4 agility and endurance. That's strength. We've kind of swapped them about a wee bit. Hands, strength and endurance. Strength and endurance. Jaw is ego, so if you're missing half your jaw, it's not going to look good. People aren't going to look. You know what I mean? That's going to hit the. Yeah. 11 feast permanently disfigured. -d6 ego and 1d3 endurance, and on a 12 you just got lucky somehow. So there you go. There will be a lot more to this, but that's just again. Beta quick start rules, more just for people to get a good taste of what they're in for. Sample combat, I kind of go over what to expect and what type of rules this should be done, you know, just to give people a quick rundown. Weapons screening, I'm not really going to bother getting into that because that's more just who can use what, you know what I mean? Like warriors and rogues play pretty much all weapons. This is more just like clerics, war clubs, crossbows, thrown, dagger, spears, god's weapon of choice, wizards, clubs, daggers, thrown. You know what I mean? And there you go. If you're not doing a disadvantage to attack rules for weapons, so if you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to use it. Simple as.
Can you become trained via other means, or is it only classes?
Yeah, you'll be able to be trained in other means, but like, you know, all warriors and rogues, you just get it regardless. Clerics, wizards, it just depends. You know what I mean? Yeah, people will be able to learn it, but again, that's not in here. It would be down as like feats and shit. You know what I mean? But anyway. So this is where it gets into this. So melee weapons, ranged weapons. So let's give you an idea. So again, this is something that I think most people just fuck this up. Something shocking. You know what I mean? Like, why are you making weapons just like, why is a longsword boring? You know what I mean? So a longsword does 1d8 damage. It causes bleed and is agile. So agile means you can use strength or agility, and it causes bleed every single hit. Leap year, penetrative damage, and agile can't be used in 2 hands. Give me something. What do you want to see, Garbro? And we'll explain which weapon. Katana. Do you want the katana?
Why would you choose katana?
I've got literally every single type. So in the full rules, there's going to be like over 100 weapons.
You have like a pole hammer or a big pole arm?
Yeah, well, we could go with glaive, katana. Do we have no? I think I've got pike in here. Yeah, I've got a pike, so I do. So a pike is 1d10 damage. It's got 15 foot of range. First strike can't.
15 feet. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
so
a big bitch.
It's 2-handed weapon, and it counts as a spear and pole arm. So first strike. What does first strike do? First strike causes. First strike, once per round, whenever a monster enters the range of your weapon, you can make 1 attack against that monster. So you get 3 hits on anything that moves in within.
So you're kind of poking it like
yeah.
Poking it
So and again, this just happens regardless. This is just whatever weapon you happen to be using. Worse, well, actually, no, I'll go with flail. So flail is cleave, and it has a -2 AP.
Oh, cleave, nice.
Yeah.
Not enough games use cleave.
Yeah, I like it. So I'll go over what does cleave do. And again, these are all like what all the weapons do. I really like this. I really wish more games had this. And again, this is the type of thing that I think anyone could take this stuff from their existing game. Or say you don't want to play Dice and Demons or whatever, you don't want to play it, you've already got your own system, you can still take these rules and apply them to your own system. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's the way.
You're saying you're using OSR, so you're able to do that.
More or less OSR. I wouldn't call it OSR because technically it isn't. But like, people would say it's OSR, but it just depends. I'm not going to call it OSR personally. Cleave with the cleave attack feature, you can make a second attack against a different monster within the weapon's reach. So if you got 2 monsters within 5 feet of you, you can whack both of them at the same time. There you go. Backswing, all that type of shit. I'm not going to get too much into that sort of stuff, but yeah, every weapon has their own thing to them. Does that make any sense? They're not just.
Yeah.
they do damage.
They're all somewhat unique in their own way.
Yeah, like, it depends on what you want to do. Are you going up against something with armor? There you go, you take your Morning Star, 2d4 damage, -4 AP, and causes bleed. Pretty sweet. I like that. So if you got
4 armor points?
Yeah, so
Okay.
if you hit with that, even if so say your armor is, you've got full plate, which is 2d8, it's going to ignore 4 points of that regardless. Does that make any weird sense? So, like, it gets 3 armor. Pretty much. But anyway, let's keep going. Ranged weapons. So, yeah, we do have, like, matchlocks and shit like that. But they...
Guns in my fantasy game?
I don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care. We don't, again, there's going to be hundreds of weapons in this system. That's something that I really want to focus on. But for the quick start rules, we've kind of kept it as simple and just the little basics. Probably like a handful of stuff like katana, for instance, you know what I mean? We just kind of put that in just to give you guys an idea of what you can expect. So like, what? Because a lot of people would just be like, yeah, well, it's a long sword. It's like, well, a katana's going to be different. It's a D10, it has bleed, it's got agile, and it's got +2D initiative. You know what I mean? Also,
you have curved blade in there. The curved blades do something different than the regular blade, or?
I can't remember.
Because you made a little keyword there, so it clearly does something.
Curved blade. Let me see. Oh.
I love keywords.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's just, I can find them. Yeah, it's just the types, so it is. Swords, as long as a straight metal blade, both intended to slash and thrust. This category is for street swords that can be thrust easily. Swords with a curve, for slice curved blades. It's minutia, if I be honest with you. It's not much to be worried about. But yeah, and I haven't really put too much in. But something else that I really wanted to put in is, this is something that really annoys me in fantasy systems, that bows are always seen as agility. Anyone that's used a bow knows they're not. No, they're not. They're just not. And anyone,
it's just, you gotta haul that bitch back, dude.
Yeah. So a longbow is 200 fit plus 20 fit for every plus strength modifier you have. So if you got a +2 to your strength modifier, you can go for 220 foot and so on and so forth to a max of 300 foot range. Does that make sense? Now, you can still use agility for aiming and whatnot, but you know, look, there you go, pretty much. Net, lock, hunting bow, crossbow, longbow, matchlock, arquebus. Pretty basic, so it is. I'm just going to keep going. Weapon features, this kind of goes through all the ins and outs of what each weapon does and some of whatnot. Yeah, keywords. Two-handed or one-handed weapons. I'm not going to bother explaining that. There is, again, there's going to be way more armor types in this. We've just got the very basic, you got leather, chainmail, full plate, and shield. Pretty much all what you would expect. I'm just gonna say, like, so say you got chainmail, you got 2d4, and you take a shield.
Does your armor break at all or no?
I haven't put that in for this is a quick start rules, but in the full version, I do want to do that. But again, I don't want to overload people. I don't want to go too much. And again, I just don't want to give the entire book away for free. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to give it enough away that people will be able to learn and play it and pick it up and know what they're doing. But I don't want to give it absolutely everything away. But yeah, shields just have a flat +2 to them, whereas other stuff you have to roll for. Does that make any weird sense? So
yeah,
we're gonna keep going. So spellcasting.
How do we handle spells, actually?
Yeah, we got spell slots. We do. I'm not gonna get.
Oh, for God's sake!
Yeah, I know.
I thought I could trust you.
It works, you know what I mean, and we might move about, we might do something different, but for the meantime, this works. And also, it depends. We have done how they attack slightly differently. So,
see, I thought you would use mana or something like that.
Yeah, well, it's only a little difference between mana and spell slots. You could argue.
One's game, one's not.
Alright, fair enough. Either way, so these are essentially minor invocations, which are essentially cantrips, cast them all day. Different types, so skills, we've got them down now, so we've got divination, enchantment, necromancy, demonology, pyromancy, white magic, you know what I mean? And there's
all your spells.
No, I don't want to give them all away, but I've given like enough. So divination magic, we've got enchantment, necromancy, demonology, pyromancy, light magic, and we do have more, but I don't want to give them away. Do you know what I mean? I want to put in just enough. And again, these aren't all the spells. Like, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, like, 5. Like, most of them only have like 5 spells, which again, we're going to be aiming for at least 20 minimum per School of Magic, you know what I mean? But like, let me go for something a bit more to explain how it works better. Let me see. Fortune Teller. Let's go for something easy. Well, we will go Pyromancy. That'll be the easiest one to...
Oh, there it is. The spells.
Yeah. So. You want a Bolt of Flame. Spell requirements. 1 free hand. Spell effect. Make an attack. Spell versus defense DR. If the spell hits, deal 4d6 penetrative damage, and any surrounding family objects ignite. Criticals are double damage. Range 60 foot. Spell versus defense DR. So it's really awkward. How do I explain this? I'll go down and show you guys some character stat blocks. So let's go with the Bandit. So the Bandit's got a resistance magic DR of a 14. So you need a wizard needs to get a plus 14 to hit him with magic, essentially. Does that make sense?
So you have 2 DRs and you have a physical and magical DR.
Yeah, pretty much. So a physical is ballpark what you would expect. Like, these are kind of like more guidelines than anything. Like, this is kind of like what I would expect like the standard to be. But again, I do want players to be, or DMs to be, like, editing these on the fly. These should be like very liquid stats. Does that make sense? Like, they should be changing at any given moment. And also, I don't know if I want to even put these in. Should I have wisdom, ego, agility, strength, endurance? Because I don't think we actually need them, if I'll be honest with you. That's kind of like one of the more interesting ones.
Unless they pick up, like, a bandit is not part of the party, and now you have to know these things.
Yeah, but like, I kind of like the idea of, I really like bare bone stat blocks, like only the very basics of what you need. So what can a bandit do, for example? They got a short sword, it's d6, and they got a +1 to their attacks. Overwhelmed. In the first round, all attacks that hit are crits. So, like, again, they're supposed to be like supplies rounds. They're supposed to be like, they're coming after you. A description: thieves and highwaymen that will let you go free if you hand over your silver. Inevitably, the goal is to ambush and overwhelm and fill in that intimidation with minimal bloodshed. Many are employed by greater organizations. What?
I forgot that you said that everything only has 1 action per combat, right?
Yeah. So
I guess they only need those things for saves?
Yeah, pretty much. It's more of a save, per se. So it is. But we'll go for it. So again, this is something that spells are deadly. They're very strong. Like, for instance, let me show you Demonology. We kind of went a bit overboard with. So you can summon Demon Host. I kind of want to update that, so I'll do a bit. But we got, like, Summon Demon. It's an epic spell. Perform a ritual and make a deal with a demon. Both parties must fulfill their ends of the bargain. If the caster tries to cheat the deal, make a strength or ego DR 18 test, or have your PC dragged to hell. She's one of the list of demons.
Imagine being like, well, shit, I fucked it.
Yeah, there you go. Or a Hellgate. 6 souls standing in a 6-pointed star. After an hour's ritual, the caster explodes an orgy of gore, creating a portal. So you have to, like, kill yourself, essentially, to, like, complete this portal.
Same.
Yeah. Demon Host, Soul Cage, Exorcism. Now, I do make exorcisms pretty powerful now. Like, the magic is strong. Like, it's hard to cast, but it's fucking potent. But what's the backdraw? Well, spell backfire table. I know people garn about spell backfire table, but I don't give a fuck because I made it fun. Now,
took some old Warhammer Fantasy inspiration there, buddy.
Yeah, of course. So M is essentially mutant. Unless this effect is removed, the PC is considered a mutant, unclean boogeyman. Your PC will cause unease to most people, and the word will most likely, as people agencies, hunt your kind. So what happens if you get this? So essentially, it's like nat ones.
Where's Professor X? Fuck
me. Your entire body explodes outright, no save. Roll 2d20 for blood splatter. Yeah. For the next hour, your blood crystallizes. It is frozen. Take 1d6 damage for every 5 foot of movement. Any action that requires bodily movement, if death occurs, your body shatters. So yeah, that's lovely. Earth around you gives way. In D4 turns, a horde of demons and undead drag you to the underworld, where you will be tortured for all eternity for daring to play God. You're petrified, your body turns to stone for 2d20 hours. Not the worst, that's actually
rock hard, baby.
yeah, that's actually not too bad. A dead friend or loved one is resurrected as a shape-shifting wraith, and they are hunting you. They want you dead and will not stop until your last drop of blood leaves your body. You have disadvantages on attacks against them until the DM says you don't.
This is all I hear when I read this shit.
Why are we still here?
Just to suffer. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, look, all I'm saying is the magic's powerful. The magic is fucking really powerful. But, like, you know, I love the idea of magic being like, it's like you've got a firework in your hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's powerful. You might blow your hand off. You know what I mean? There's a little chance
I'm still
of
gonna
that.
send it though.
Yeah.
Light fuse.
Also, I kind of want the idea of the DM doesn't tell the player what they suffer from. So for this one, it's 6 struck by lightning for 5d12 damage. Any flammable objects you are near or inside, like a building, catch fire. If you're underground, the bolt will strike. The bolt will strike you when you walk out. You can always choose to live in the dungeon and never see daylight again if you so choose. What's some other good ones? Oh, this one's quite good. One of your appendages turns into a slick black oily tentacles. They cause 1d4 damage and DR12 test. Yeah, so you
Congrats, you're not only a quarter hentai.
yeah, there we go. Where's the good one? Oh, this one's good. Your eyes explode in your sockets. That one's pretty sweet. Oh, here, this one. Your body has been chosen by 𝕯�㈐𝖒𝖔𝖓𝖘, a vessel for his resurrection. You are now being hunted by the cult of the damned. A squad of high-level wizards and mercenaries know where you are. By persuasion of force, you shall be the undying vessel. So yeah, you're going to be that demon host. So you will be. Again, look, it's a bit of a plot hook. I kind of like that sort of stuff. Oh, this one's good. Your teeth fall out.
Why?
Your teeth fall out, causing bleeding. But they do grow back. It's extremely painful. Yeah. But yeah, like, I think they're fun. I really enjoyed making them. And then this is just the monster manual, so it is. So basic stuff. I wanted to put in more demons. Like, there's a goat demon that we put in. I don't really want to go over this too much, but I'll just kind of explain the basics. So I've tried to make the stat blocks as simple and straightforward as possible. So, hit points 10, armor D4, initiative 10, movement 30, defense 12, magic 12. So again, they're two separate things. So they are magic and defense. I want them to be fluid, and I really want DMs to interpret this as they will. So maybe the 12 is standard, maybe it's the default, maybe this is whenever they're ready for action, they're ready for fighting, when they're ready head on, this is what you should expect. But, like, you know, if you're coming in from behind, like, you know, it should really be like a 6 or a 3. Does that make any weird sense? Or maybe they're distracted or whatever, do you know what I mean? And then what actions can they do? They've got a mace, they've got a magic bolt, they got blinding light, they got healing spirit. And then special variant, please the thingy with other spells. So, like, you know, maybe you want to change this stat block up a bit, but I don't really want to be like, oh, this is acolyte A, acolyte B, acolyte C. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
have your choice if you want to have something else.
Yeah, so it's not a straight go for. I do want to put in a lot of folklore creatures, so I do. And this is one of them. I can't say that fucking name, but the description, a thingy or goat-headed demon.
Capra.
Yeah, goat-headed demons tempted by mortals with gold, wealth, and fortune, a step above a basic imp. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is there cocaine bear?
We do have a bear. It could be cocaine bear. It could be.
Movement 140 feet. If I could excuse me.
I do love this imp though. I think he looks really cool. I really like him. But yeah, I've tried to put in like the basic stuff, like what stuff do people like. I've already put 20 in. So we got like a basic human magic user, basic demon, basic human, a 𝕯𝖊𝖒𝖔𝖓, cave locust, lesser dragon. I want to make this stronger. I think this is actually a bit too weak, if I be honest with you. A gargoyle.
Well, it is a lesser dragon.
Yeah, it's a lesser one, but dragons, I think, I still want.
He's just a guy.
Yeah,
man. He's a guy out there.
Yeah, gargoyle, goblin, hellhound, imp, ogre, orc warrior, giant rat, skeleton warrior, spider, succubi, vampires, whites, and zombies. So, you know, there's more than enough here so people get an idea of kind of what we're going for and like.
Pretty would have a white combatant.
Oh no!
And then there's the whites.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Hey, you guys got any more fucking pork rinds back there?
Yeah, I think he already did that. Fucking, he made white power, so he did. That RPG book, that's funny. Like, I'll give him that.
He did not.
Yeah, he did. It's fucking James Adge. It's Lamentations and made white power. I thought it was funny as fuck. Oh, here, this is quite good. So I really like this. So skeletons are actually not go zombies. It's the same thing. So specialties: they're immune to fear, bleeding, will regenerate within 24 hours of being killed, coming back with 1 hit point. Can only be permanently killed via killing the sorcerer who reanimated the body or by burning the body to dust. So there you go. Zombies are pretty much always going to come after you.
Ashes,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Same thing with skeleton warriors. So yeah, that's pretty much Dice and Demons. There's way more to it. There is a lot more to it. Actually, let's be serious. This isn't even this is just enough to play the game. But
yeah,
there is way more to come. But again, I don't really want to. It's kind of open for playtesting. We do have a feedback form, so if you're watching this, and I would like you to play the game first. If you could, like, maybe try something out, or maybe you're playing like 5e, for instance. Have a go for a day. I know, God forbid. But like, have a go. Maybe download this, and if you could, have a go at maybe the weapons. Do you want to like try that out for like a session, just to give us an idea of what you guys think of that? You know, I really want feedback on this because, I mean, it works for me. This is the problem that I've got, because if something works for me,
works for me.
Yeah, like, you know, but doesn't work for everyone else. Or the other big problem I've got is I've tried to really. I don't want words when it comes to writing. Like, you know, if someone comes across this and says, James, that's fucking gobbledygook, what the fuck does that mean? It may make sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to everyone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you've got that garbo where you're writing goals down, but it's like, well, I get that. You know, that's kind of what Daggerheart has got the problem of. It's Matt Mercer's fucking notes. So it might work for him, but as a rulebook, that is not a good fucking way of doing a rulebook. You know, you do remember, what is a core rulebook? It's a manual. It's essentially a fucking rule. You know, it's a how-to guide, and you need to make that as simple and as straightforward as humanly possible. And that's one of the things that I think I'm having the hardest time with.
Yeah, like, makes sense to me. Like, I don't like. I feel like I don't understand. Like, it means this. Like, oh, why couldn't you just write it that way? I'm like, I did write it that way.
Well, that's what I thought. So yeah, if you guys want to, definitely please check that out and fill us in. You know what I mean? If there's anything. And again, we've got an email address, DiceandDemonsBeardia@gmail.com. Send any emails that way, and, you know, I will try and get back to you. I've tried to keep this separate from my normal email because I want it to just be about this, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's pretty much Dice and Demons. I do want to be, now, we will be moving on to something next, but I think we're going to do it as 2 different videos. We're going to be doing the Bastard Princess, and I will be cutting this into 2 separate videos. So yeah, is there anything else worth adding, Garbu? Now, what do you not like about this, Garbu? Then I know you're going to hate the 1 action per turn. I know.
Yeah, I don't enjoy the 1 action per turn stuff, but I get why some folks like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah,
but it's just, you know, it's still actually a lot less than fucking being. You have an action, figure it out. I guess I attack. You know,
yeah.
It's just like, I get that it's super simple, but it's so constraining as well.
Well, that's why we've put in maneuvers to try and like help with that. Does that make any weird sense? You know what I mean? Like, we've tried to try and like give people more ideas of what to do, but like, honestly, I despise the term action economy. I really hate it. It makes my fucking it just makes me sad inside. But yeah, bar that.
It make me share.
But honestly, like, bar that, like, you know, I think the main things that, like, Dice and Demons does differently is its weapons. Bar that, it's a pretty basic system that doesn't really, like, push any boundaries, because honestly, this is just what I play, guys, okay? You know what I mean? Like, this is just what I play. I don't know what else to say on that, if I be honest with you. But yeah, that's pretty much the basic rundown of Dice and Demons. Is there anything else worth adding? Garbu, any thoughts? Do you like it? Is it yay, is it nay? I know it's not for you. Like, you know, it's not your game. Like,
yeah, like in terms of a game, this is definitely not for me, but it'd be a great first-time game for first-time players and first-time DMs, because it's very simple. And it's very hard to get lost in this game. It seems like it's enough unique mechanics to make it at least interesting. It's not like playing like you have one action, that's all you have. Fuck you. You have other stuff in there as well, you know.
Yeah. So either way, you know what? You need to set it up. You need to make yourself a quick start rules for 𝕯𝖒𝖒𝖔𝖓s. I already have a name for it if I do one. Why? What do you call it? Oh, go on. Tell us the name.
You get banned.
Okay, fine. I'll bleep it out.
YouTube doesn't like military jokes.
All right, fine. So either way,
fucking tard book, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I think you should check it out, because honestly, like, it's one of those ones that gives people, I feel like, a good idea of what it is they're actually getting into. Because I think the hardest thing, one of the biggest problems is it's easy to convince a DM to, oh, mate, that looks pretty cool. I would definitely love to DM that. It's another thing getting the players on board, and I think that's one of the things that I really want to focus on, is making it DM accessible, but also player accessible at the same time. And I've tried to put in as many, like, bells and whistles, particularly for players, just as much as I have for DMs, because I think that's, like, the hardest thing. But again, I don't really expect many people to actually play this Dice and Demons as is, because this is more just a system to exist for me to be able to write adventures for. Does that make any sense? Like, you know, that's the main thing, and this is just a good idea of what I happen to be playing. Do you know what I mean? Just for me to be able to go on, okay, there we go. And again, I really want to use Dice and Demons the same way I'm using Death March, as, like, so Dice and Demons, eventually I want to make Oonga Boonga, Stones and Sorcery, which which Dice and Demons will be the backbone of. Does that make any sense? But I'm gonna, like, adapt the rules accordingly to fit for a caveman setting. Does that make sense? And it's the same way I want to do Burger Punk for Death March. It's pretty much, if it's American Civil War onwards, it's Death March. If it's pre-American independence, it's Dice and Demons. Does that make sense? Like, that's kind of like the idea of what I'm going for. Is how I'm doing it, because Dice and Demons has got a bit more rules to it. Does that make any sense? I think Death March is a bit more rules light than Dice and Demons, but again,
well, it's also a different setting as well.
Yeah. Well, this is more meant for, like, more modern settings. I'm doing for Death March, and more fantasy, adventure type stuff is more Dice and Demons. They're both pretty deadly, though. That's the only thing. Like, both systems. Death March is more deadly.
It seems like most of the rules in this game are about combat. I didn't see a lot of social or RP rules in there. Is it mostly a combat game, or? Yeah,
and also, like, I don't really, like, feel like you need to put rules in for, like, social dynamics a long time. I'm okay with people just doing that, or, like, adding charisma modifiers and stuff like that.
Fucking who's like, figure it out yourself, turd.
Yeah.
Rules in there.
Well, that, and also, again, I do want to put that in for the main rulebook. You know what I mean? Like, I've kind of just given the basic of the combat, and even then, it's not everything for the combat, but there's enough for players to make a character. There's enough there for a DM to run a game. Does that make sense? Like, that's kind of what I'm going for. And there's
very simple, basic game.
Yeah, pretty much. It gives people a good idea of what to expect, though, going forward. So hopefully people like it. But yeah,
I need to go to the bathroom. You can finish this up. I need to go.
Gonna take a shit. All right. Well, anyway, look, guys, check it out. It's free at the minute. Links to it down below. Me and Garbo are now going to go ahead and talk about the Bastard Princess. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And again, it's a free download, so, like, you know, no harm in checking it out, and it might be different because I don't know what it's going to be like. Maybe we're on, by the time you're watching this video, we might be on version 3, or it might be completely finished, or it might be the definitive, this is the quick start goals. Does that make any sense? Or is there anything you guys want to see? Is there anything that we're missing out that you would like to see in the full version? You know? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.